of what to feed the family every week can be challenging. And that is why
Charlie.
The day
we've always wanted children. I've always wanted to be a dad.
it took many years to have our children. So on that journey, we had obviously discussed adoption and fostering.
Emily and Rob became foster carers to a little boy called Charlie.
The day we met Charlie, I saw him at the front of the house. Blonde hair, cute little denim jacket. He was gorgeous. Things were going really, really well until one day when he got sick. We noticed that there was something wrong with him during his bath time. But as the night progressed, he was unsettled, he wasn't sitting up, and when I lifted him out of the cot, he was rigid, he was stiff as a board, and I knew something was really, really wrong. My husband, Rob, came in and said, what's happening? And that's when he noticed it was when his left leg was being moved. We saw that it looked swollen. He hadn't fallen, he hadn't tripped, there was nothing that had happened like that. So we took him straight to A&E. The consultant came in and said he's broken his femur, and I burst into tears. There's 2 social workers there, and they said, we'd like you to leave. And my heart broke. And all I could say to the social worker was, we haven't hurt him. We haven't hurt him, but they just look through you. From that point on, I felt as though we were seen as monsters. And I just said, goodbye, little buddy, as he slept on the bed.
The UK has seen some sunshine this Easter. After months of rain and strong winds, a chance to relax and enjoy record high temperatures.
This is all right, isn't it? Absolutely stunning. How does it feel? Beautiful.
It's the first time I've been able to go on the beach during spring. It's wonderful. It's never been this warm during April.
The world is so bad at the moment that this is a real refreshing moment. Lovely.
How about you? Did you have fun on the beach?
Iran's foreign minister says the ball is in Washington's court over whether or not the ceasefire deal holds. In a post on X, Abbas Araghchi says the Iran-US ceasefire terms are clear and explicit. The US must choose ceasefire or continued war via Israel. It cannot have both. The world sees the massacres in Lebanon. The ball is in the US court, and the world is watching whether it will act on its commitments. We're going to bring in Tawhid Asadi, joining us now live from Tehran. Iran already warning of ceasefire violations just in the first few hours of this ceasefire, and using some very strong language, particularly from the Revolutionary Guard, about how it might respond.
Yes, indeed. We hear this strong message from the Iranian side, warning about the repercussion of the breach of the ceasefire agreement. And obviously, Lebanon and the situation there seems to be critically important, as you mentioned, from the Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi and also from the Speaker of the Parliament. And added to that, now we hear from the Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian during his phone call with his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron. He came out to say that the ceasefire in Lebanon is one of the pivotal conditions when it comes to the 10-point Iranian proposal directed to the United States. And obviously, this is not the only factor that runs the risk of further escalation and a potentiality of maybe Iran's withdrawal from the ceasefire agreement. But also, we know that in addition to that, Iranians are now talking about the attacks that happened in Lavan Island. Also, they are talking about the downing of a drone in central areas of the country. And obviously, all in all, we can say that we're dealing with a very, I would say, brittle and fragile situation as Iran and the United States are heading towards a meeting on Friday scheduled in Istanbul, in Islamabad, my apologies, to pave the way for a diplomatic settlement to settle down the issues. But still, we know that even when it comes to that meeting, Iran says it's going to take part. Iranian president, as well as the National Security Council of the country, confirmed that. But the context is surrounded by this cloud of mistrust when it comes to Iranian perspective towards any rapprochement with the United States. And obviously, that's coming from the very fact that they've already tried the trajectory of negotiation and diplomatic engagement, not once, but twice over the past.
The hatred of Israel and the US among some supporters of the Iranian regime runs deep. And late last night, Donald Trump's ceasefire did not appear to have extinguished their mistrust. Their country had been left in ruins, And even regime opponents are uncertain, with one Iranian man telling us he's relieved. But if after all of this, the Islamic Republic remains in place, that would be a disaster. It was just after 1:30 a.m. in Iran, 6:30 p.m. in Washington, D.C., when the news broke.
The deadline is off.
Trump stands down at the 11th hour.
A possible off-ramp.
The American spin on this fragile truce came this morning in the Pentagon.
Operation Epic Fury was a historic and overwhelming victory on the battlefield. A capital V military victory.
But Iran claimed victory too, after a wild few days in which Trump issued expletive-laden threats, saying Tuesday will be power plant day and bridge day. That morning, he claimed, probably, a whole civilization will die tonight. A genocidal threat before a decision to step back from the brink 88 minutes before the deadline. Trump said that with a complete, immediate and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz, he would suspend the bombing for a period of 2 weeks, claiming Iran's 10-point proposal was a workable basis on which to negotiate. He later described it as a big day for world peace, promising big money will be made, with America just hanging around to make sure it goes well. At his press conference, Hegseth called it a devastating defeat.
Iran begged for this ceasefire.
But Iran punched above its weight, using its smaller military might to cause economic chaos. And what about the enriched uranium that it still holds?
They'll give it to us voluntarily. We'll get it. We'll take it out. Or if we have to do something else ourselves, we reserve that opportunity. But what's clear, what the new Iranian regime knows, is they'll never have a nuclear weapon.
They say new, but most think it's just different leaders of the same regime. And if things go wrong?
We'll be hanging around. We're not going anywhere.
And this part, here at home, we're learning another relative of the Iranian regime has been living lavishly in Los Angeles. According to court documents, adjunct professional psychology professor Isa Hashimi has reportedly been living in the United States for years after allegedly coming here on a student visa. His mom was known to the world as Screaming Mary. She was the spokeswoman for the Iranian militants who took 52 Americans hostage for 444 days in 1979. At one point, she told reporters she would gladly pick up a gun and kill American hostages. Screaming Mary was his mom. He's living it up here in the U.S.
And a Fox News alert, 2 relatives of a top Iranian commander who was killed during President Trump's first term are now in federal custody and facing possible deportation. This after Secretary of State Marco Rubio revoked their green cards. The niece of the late General Soleimani is known as a regime apologist who promoted the IRGC, even while she and her daughter lived a very luxurious Western lifestyle.
More caffeine. Arriving today with Amazon Prime. That's
How many garlic did you put there?
Sauce, 90 feet.
How many garlic sauce did you put in the bag?
No, 4.
4 garlic sauce. How many minutes?
3.
What is that? Did you get the chicken? Chips?
No chips.
I asked you for chips.
With 3 legs, 1 ring.
3 chicken legs and chips. What's my comment? Why you give me 4 fighters to that? For 3 garlic and 3 mayo. I asked for 3 garlic and 3 mayo. You gave me 4 fighters to. Yeah, I asked for 3 garlic and 3 mayo. What do you mean no? I asked you for 3 garlic to.
I thought you were looking for.
Open the door now. I'm telling you now. Allah, kill right now. I want it. Open the door now. I'm telling you now. Allah, kill right now. I want it. Open the door now. I'm telling you now.
Oh boy. Slowly. Okay. Now what I need you to do is turn around and face away from me. You interlock your fingers, put them on top of your head. Okay. You're going to stay there for now. What's going to happen is when I tell you, you're going to walk back very slowly. When I tell you. One of my colleagues is going to take you to the side, okay? Slowly. Come on.
Currently talking about this.
Slowly. Come on. Moran. Keep coming. Keep coming. Right.
Listen to exactly what I say. Left, back, now.
Up and over.
Up and over. Right, listen to me. So we're under arrest on suspicion of possession of a firearm. We've got 16 days of life. We've got the same thing. But main high defence, also action, main question is you do say maybe give evidence. Yeah. Subject secure.
Subject secure.
Let's turn to breaking news out of Los Angeles. The woman who admitted to illegally selling actor Matthew Perry, the ketamine that killed him, has now been sentenced to 15 years in prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release.
If the people of Beirut were hoping to share in Donald Trump's new golden age for the Middle East, this is what confronted them today. Trump had threatened Iran with a living hell. Instead, Israel meting out what it called Operation Eternal Darkness across Beirut and beyond. The heaviest round of bombing yet in more than a month of resumed fighting with Hezbollah, 100 targets struck across Lebanon in just 10 minutes. This is a crime, says this municipality official. The state has to do something. It's a residential area. There's nothing here. Why does it need to be damaged like this? Whether this was a repudiation of a wider ceasefire or a maximalist final blow before one takes hold, unclear. It's breadth, Israel said, because Hezbollah had rebased from its stronghold in southern Beirut and intermingled with other communities in other locations.
The IDF attacked hundreds of Hezbollah terrorists in a surprise strike at headquarters throughout Lebanon. This is the largest concentrated blow Hezbollah has suffered since the Pages operation.
European nations, including Britain, jointly calling for the ceasefire to include Lebanon even before these latest strikes.
Hezbollah made a strategic mistake by attacking Israel and dragging Lebanon into the regional crisis. However, what we are witnessing today, both from what we have seen with the strikes and the occupation of southern Lebanon, cannot be a long-term solution.
Early this morning, an Iranian missile intercepted low over Jerusalem, just moments after Donald Trump's ceasefire announcement. It was some hours still before the official response from Israel's Prime Minister, best described as grudging. Israel supports President Trump's decision to suspend strikes against Iran for 2 weeks. Israel also supports the US effort to ensure that Iran no longer poses a nuclear missile and terror threat. The United States has told Israel that it is committed to achieving these goals. The 2-week ceasefire does not include Lebanon.
The nuclear program still possesses a threat. The ballistic missile program was not obliterated.
The response from the leader of the opposition, damning. An unprecedented political disaster, Israel excluded from decisions core to its national security. At the beginning you said this was a just war. If the other way it was going to end was a mass civil infrastructure attack that Donald Trump himself referred to as civilizational death, is this not a better outcome?
Those brave young Iranians took to the streets last January because of economic reasons. So I think, and I've been saying this since October 2024, that what we should have done is hit the infrastructure of Iran in order to make sure this regime doesn't last economically and therefore doesn't last at all.
Inside and down the coast from Beirut this morning, some of the more than 1 million displaced were contemplating a return to their homes in the Israeli-occupied south. Both the Lebanese government and Hezbollah telling them to wait. Hours later, the mass airstrikes came to Sidon too. Fragile hopes for an end to weeks of bombing, for homecomings, replaced by a lesser hope that this renewed darkness won't be eternal.
Explore Sunday hotels on the OYO website. Discover Sunday stays in London, Staines, Warwickshire, and across 18 cities in the UK. Enjoy a spa, indoor swimming pool, and restaurant bar. Get an extra 10% off exclusively on the OYO website.
Police officers take an oath to protect and serve their communities.
But we found in rare cases, some in law enforcement can find themselves on the other side of handcuffs.
According to researchers at Bowling Green State University in Ohio, no government agency tracks arrests of law enforcement.
But the university's Henry A. Wallace Police Crime Database does. Its data shows each year between 2006 and 2021, the U.S. saw about 1,200 cases in which a police officer was arrested.
One recent case happened in Georgia. In October 2025, a sheriff's deputy found herself in hot water when an investigation uncovered her relationship had crossed the line.
Diana Santiago was fired right before she was taken into custody, but reporter Meredith Anderson uncovered problems that could have banned her from being a law enforcement officer in Georgia years ago.
It's no secret.
Hey, what's up?
What happened?
Almost every jail call is recorded.
I love seeing your beautiful face. You just give me life, bro.
No one should know that better than a law enforcement officer.
I love you.
I love you more.
But in 2022, then Richmond County Deputy Diana Santiago was recorded at least 27 times talking to an inmate at the Greene County Jail, putting your safety and the safety of her fellow deputies at risk. We'll get to that in.
And what do you think about Europe? Europe has several problems if we look on the growth numbers of the European Union, on the competitiveness, on the energy prices. How do you see Europe, and what could be the future for Europe under these circumstances?
Yes, it's very sad because there's so much. I talked about this in my speech last night a little bit. There's so much discussion in the European press. Do Vance and Trump and Rubio, do they hate Europe? Do they love Europe? The answer is we absolutely love Europe. It's an important trading partner, but most importantly, again, like I said, it's an important cultural cousin of the United States of America. The ideas that founded the United States of America were first birthed on the European continent. We're very mindful of that fact. And of course, we love the people, the culture, the everything about this place. But we do have some disagreements with the political leadership. In particular, why have the Europeans, while saying, by the way, that Russia is the biggest